Welcome to the shortest Umi no Ubi video ever. Oh my god.
For the longest while now, I've really been wanting to talk about where on earth I'd gone for like the past half a year when I wasn't really posting anything on my YouTube at all. And I thought there would be no better way to do that than to do a little speed paint of a piece I made for my webcomic, I Dreamed of an Alien, while I talk about how I went about making it. But I'm gonna be so for real. This is my first time ever doing like a longer, like 13-minute YouTube speed paint. And the problem is I have a screen tablet, which means I had to use OBS to record me drawing in CSP, and that means that it's low-key kinda scuffed. So you get to see how much I spin my canvas around and color pick from my references on my second monitor and forget to hit record on OBS. It happens. just bear with me.
Let's just freaking get right to it, shall we?
But how on earth did you end up making a webcomic, Umi? I thought you were like a D&D person.
I hear you all cry together in unison as you look upon me sadly with big sobbing wet eyes.
Well, back in the old days of December 2025, I suddenly remembered this like terrible little short story that I had written back in 2021 called, and you're never gonna believe it, I Dreamed of an Alien. Even back then, it was originally meant to be a comic, but I didn't really have the artistic stamina to actually make one at the time, so I just ended up writing it down, and I didn't even finish that. Great job, me. Now, I can't exactly share the whole plot of the original version of I Dreamed of an Alien because there are some people who are going to hate me forever if they realize how terrible my writing from only 5 years ago was. But I'll share what I can because it is a little funny. To sum it up, the original version of I Dreamed of an Alien was about a dream alien called PJ who accidentally got seen by a human girl and so had to go to Earth in order to solve the situation and also, you know, avoid being banished. Honestly, it wound up being like a pretty generic alien story despite starting out with like a really interesting premise. And again, even though I can't actually share much about the actual quality of the writing, all that you need to know is that Mojopum is a city supposedly near Seoul. Yes, that is a real quote. But after I reread the 2021 version, I had one thought. Why isn't this Yuri? Seriously, a big plot point of that story was that the main human girl was like obsessed with aliens and wanted to meet one her whole life, and then her literal dream alien girl showed up just to meet her. That's peak Yuri right there. And somehow it wound up being like het slop. So I knew that there was potential, but I wasn't really sure where to take it. I just knew that I kind of wanted to do something with this and maybe just have these guys as like OCs that existed in my head but didn't really need to have their own big thing going on. But then I watched a little show. Maybe you haven't heard of it. It's called Madoka Magica. And I kid you not, as soon as I got finished watching it, every single thing that I needed to do clicked right into place for me. I mean, the game Z.A.T.O, I love the world and everything in it, and also the song Meltula Nightmare was super important to the development of the new version, but what do I know? Yet again, I can't really explain all of the changes that I made to I Dreamed of an Alien, obviously, since it is an ongoing series and I'd hate for everyone on the planet to know the entire plot, but I will tell you everything that I can. Most obviously, I didn't wind up changing the title at all. It is still called I Dreamed of an Alien, and, you know, for the purpose of making things kind of easier, I'm just gonna be calling it Alien Yuri for the rest of this video. But being so for real, like, I Dreamed of an Alien suits this version of the story way more than it did the old one. So even though I did try to come up with something new, I will give 2021 Umi some credit and admit that that title is genuinely very good. What wasn't good was literally everything else. As I kind of alluded to earlier, the original story was set in South Korea, which wouldn't be a problem if I'd actually done like any amount of research at the time. It just makes way more sense for the story to take place in Japan, so that's exactly what I did. I just moved it over. That's that, we're done. Then of course there were the characters. The alien PJ is largely unchanged. She even got to keep her name because I think that a dream alien being named PJ, like pajamas, is genuinely just like really cute. The only real changes that she got was that she's also a magical girl on top of being an alien. And I didn't just do this because I like Madoka Magica, so I want to make a magical girl. No, I promise there's like a genuine reason for why I did this. I've planned everything out, don't worry. The alien-obsessed girl that I had in that original story ended up becoming the main character, Yui Hoshizuki. And I'll be honest, she is nothing like her original counterpart aside from the fact that she loves aliens. Yui also really loves magical girls, and she gets bullied a ton at school for this, as well as being a lesbian in an all-girl school in Japan. My third character, Miyuki Endo, is basically just a complete fabrication because the original third character was a boy and genuinely the worst character from the 2021 version. So I wound up making Miyuki to be Yui's best friend, the sensible one who sort of acts as the opposition to PJ. I also wound up changing the story just a whole ton. Genuinely, not a single bit of it is the same. Not the slightest. It now spends most of its time pretending to be a generic shoujo with cute adventures and low stakes, at least for the first half of it. The original version also had this very brief appearance of sleep paralysis demons, which I think could have been really cool if I'd handled it better. Although, to be honest, the concept of like, ooh, a scary sleep paralysis demon is like a little dated. It's kind of 2018. So I ended up changing them into what are now called the Nightmares, and I gave them a much bigger presence. And they're now the monsters that PJ fights in order to protect Yui. So after I made all of those changes, I actually kind of wound up with something that was pretty solid, honestly. Seeing as I'm literally going to school to study comics, I figured a good way to improve my portfolio would be to turn Alien Yuri into a comic, just like 2021 Umi always wanted. What I did not expect was that all of my peers who I told about the new plot would absolutely love it, like genuinely. For the first time since getting to college, I finally felt like I had a really solid idea that I could actually go somewhere with. So I knew I needed to do something more with it than just like have it exist. My school, which I won't be saying the name of, but if you know, has a little event called Editor's Day, where a group of comics editors from publishing companies come in to review student works. And I'm talking about big companies like IDW and DC. This is no joke. And in all of my wisdom, my little baby sophomore brain said, I'm gonna try to take Alien Yuri to Editor's Day. For context, I came up with this plan in January, and the submission date for Editor's Day wouldn't be until the end of March. When you think about it, that sounds like a lot of time, but I need you to consider that I had nothing. I basically needed to draw an entire comic and create a pitch for said comic in only 3 months, and all I had was some ideas and loose drawings. I knew that if I wanted to have something really good to present at Editor's Day, I'd need to lock in hard on this. I needed to eat, sleep, and breathe Alien Yuri, essentially. And to do that, I had to cut out doing any sort of artistic work for the D&D campaign I play in, as well as stop working on the April Fool's comic I'd begun. A really hard sacrifice to make, honestly. I tried not to sacrifice too many things, but for something this important, I figured that this was one that would end up being worth it. So how did I actually go about the next 3 months? Honestly, it was pretty simple. The first thing I did was really solidify my plot, because the last thing I wanted was to potentially get asked more about the story and have, nothing. So I sat down and wound up making a story with 12 chapters and one solid overarching message. After that, I had to solidify the designs of my characters and the setting. Luckily, the class I was taking at the time actually helped a ton with this, and I wound up making the designs that the comic currently uses. Miyuki went through like 3 different redesigns, but I promise it was so worth it. I love the way that she looks now. With all of this laid out, I then had to actually, make a comic. I treat Alien Yuri a lot more like an anime than a manga, so instead of trying to start making the official comic and sharing whatever I had, I instead decided to make a pilot comic that would be a proof of concept and allow me to get a feel for how I wanted the official comic to look. You know, like how pilots and animation actually should be and not whatever we're currently getting in the indie sphere. Listen, I don't want to go on like a tangent, but I'm so sick and tired of pilots being turned into the first episode of a show. That doesn't make any sense. That's not what a pilot is. Stop it! So since I was going to make this pilot comic instead of just starting on the official one, I chose a little snippet from the middle of chapter 1 that I thought showcased everything that I want to share, that being all 3 of the main characters and also the nightmares, and then made that the pilot. It's not exactly perfect, but I'm still pretty happy with how it turned out, and it made for a really solid foundation, I think. The real hard part was the pitch deck. One way you could submit to Editor's Day was with a pitch, which I thought would be better for me since I don't really have a very solid portfolio of comics. Luckily, with the help of my dramatic writing roommate, my professors, and an artist who actually showed me their pitch decks, I wish I could remember their name because they were so cool. They made like magic and tarot decks and they were so awesome. I wish I could remember them. I was able to get something that wound up being pretty solid and concise. So then, a few weeks after doing this and having my pitch deck nicely made for me, the Editor's Day workshop finally happened. And you'll never guess what they revealed. Pitches were no longer being accepted. Awesome! Awesome! In hindsight, I totally get why they did this, because we were essentially just giving unsolicited pitches, which is just flat out not allowed for a lot of these editors. But it did suck considering that I had put so much time and effort into my pitch deck. So I had to change it into a portfolio, which thankfully wasn't too hard, just really annoying. I even got to do a practice run with an editor from a smaller publishing company that works at their school, and the guy who spoke to me really loved what I had and said that he was rooting for me. So I submitted my portfolio, and how did that end up going? Come spring, I would learn that I did not make it into Editor's Day. All that hard work had been for, well, not nothing, but just not as much as I would have liked it to have amounted to. But my professor told me something really interesting. Even if I wasn't picked, and even if I wasn't on the schedule, I still had a shot. I could still go on the actual day, get myself on the wait list, and hope that someone wouldn't show up for their meeting, or that the editor would take in an extra review. And so even though I didn't feel particularly confident about it, that's exactly what I decided to do. I'd done too much work to not at least try. I walked to the museum in the pouring rain, got there an hour early, and put myself on the waitlist for Oni Press, and waited there for literally the entire day. I think I was there from about 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock. It was a while. But would you believe it? At the very last moment, I made it in. Now, I'm gonna be so for real. I do not think that my review went very well at all. I think it went really bad. I was a nervous wreck. Fucking Discord opened because I had restarted my computer and it was just like a mess overall. It was terrible. The editor I spoke to was from Oni Press, which I think wound up being a really good fit because she works with a lot of teen and middle grade stuff, which is basically right where I land since Alien Yuri is intended for late middle school and early high school. But I'm gonna be so for real. I don't think that she vibed with me at all. Maybe I'm reading into it too much, but that's just kind of the energy that I got. She was really nice, and I'm glad that I got to talk with her. She gave me such incredibly good advice to focus on anatomy that I'm really grateful for because I think it's making my art better. Like, genuinely, I think it has made me improve. So even if it didn't do anything crazy for me, I'm really glad that I still wound up going and getting to talk to an editor. And despite the critiques that I received, I didn't want it to stop me from making I Dreamed of an Alien a reality. Because if I decided to wait until I'm better at anatomy or perspective or whatever, I'd never make the things I want to. Especially with comics, I think that it's important to know that you'll improve as you go. Yeah, I might look back on these early pages and think that they're bad, but that's okay. It's just a sign that I've gotten better. With that said, thank you so much for watching and or listening. If you didn't know that I have a webcomic or just happened to stumble across this, you can find it on my Instagram or in the description and pinned comment. Please go check it out. It's my passion project and I'd love to get a few more eyes on it if I can. Alright, enough shilling. Thank you for watching. Bye!